Product data has always been important for e-commerce, but now it's really just elevated to the next level where it's not everything, but it's an even bigger part of success online, right? You have to have your data, your product data in place. You have to have it well enriched. You have to make sure that you have as much as possible from as many sources as possible. It's stock, it's relations between products, it's the product attributes themselves. Much of this is also AI driven in how you kind of generate the data, right? To optimize and to make sure that time to market is shorter. So how do brands do this? Well, there are many ways. There are better ways and then worse ways. Obviously, a good PIM solution helps to make sure that the data is where you want it to be, and so that you can surface that data to the agents and to your e-com and whatever path you choose to make it available to the different search engines and also for GEO these days. One way, if we take a more manual approach, and we don't recommend you do this at home, kids, it's not the best way, but if we look at a more manual way, which I have seen at some companies where maybe an AI strategy isn't rolled out fully across the organization, so you have employees with their AI tools that they prefer, and they're just copy pasting or they're working directly into a chat with all kinds of issues that could bring in terms of data privacy and models being trained on the company data, and also just the time it takes to put this together. Then we have that approach, and we're gonna look a little bit at how that could look. And then we have what we would say is a better approach, where this is integrated then to your solutions, and with the click of a button, you have AI acting on your data and suggesting improvements and so on. That's where Bluestone PIM's AI analyst comes into the picture. But let's start then with a more manual approach. Still relevant to see how it can be done. We're gonna look in Claude, but it could be in any AI chat basically that you're using. So let's see in Claude how we can get this done. So for this, let's run Opus 4.7 to try to analyze some product data, right? So in the step before this, the user would have extracted data from whatever system it is, the ERP or an existing PIM solution or PLM or something like that. And the idea with doing an audit like this is that you have some data that you're happy with, that you know is well enriched, and then you use that as the benchmark, and you introduce some data that maybe is new, maybe something you got from the supplier, or just data that you're not sure about if the quality is any good. And I have two such files here. I have a couple files, or one file rather, with a couple products that are good. And in this case, I'm looking at data in the HVAC vertical. So it's kind of the ventilation, air condition units and so on. And then we're gonna introduce some supplier data. In this case, it's mock data, but you will get the idea here. All right, so let me drag those sheets into here. I have one that I call golden record. So that's kind of gonna be the benchmark here, and one that I call new supplier data. Now we have those two files. And then comes the prompt, and here I have prompted a bit to get the prompt. Sometimes I see it's missed, or people go straight to, for example, you want to generate a video or something like that, or an image, or whatever it might be, or even develop a platform or something, the initial prompt or the architecture and so on, or just the optimal prompt to generate that image. It's good to first prompt about getting that and how to get that optimal prompt, right? So in this case, I want a prompt that helps me basically first go through that benchmark data, or golden record as I call it here, and see what's in there, what's good and so on, and then take the other sheet and with that data benchmark it towards my good data and highlight anything that looks off, let's say. This is kind of what I think will work. So we're telling the agent that it's a data quality analyst, and I also give it a vertical here. I guess that it will be able to see this anyways. It's going to receive two data sets. It's the reference set and the audit set. assess the audit set against the standard established by the reference set. And then we have some more step-by-step instructions here. So we start by deriving the standard from that benchmark data, give it the name of that here, and also telling it to not assume what good means, instead infer this from what it can see here. Okay, giving it some details on what to look for. This you could also play with leaving out or including more, because I'm sure it will have an idea itself on what to look for here. And then step 2 then. So good to make sure that it does this in 2 steps. Has to first go through the benchmark data and then audit here the supplier data against the reference. Here also we have this part here. Do not assume that deviations exist. I mean, the AI usually wants to be a good boy or a good girl and always find things, right? If you give it a task, right, find data issues, it will just do everything to find any data issues, even though they don't exist. So trying to avoid that here a bit. And step 3, summarize. Okay, let's start with that. All right, so now the model has done its audit, and here we see the step 1, kind of this is what it has flagged as good things from the initial data set. It sees the standard of different fields and what to expect and so on. Uppercase here, other formats there. Good. And some rules from that, inferred rules, and then audit the findings. So here comes step 2, right? And then we see already row 1 has some issues that the number here is lowercase, right? Where you see that it was uppercase in the reference data brand as well. There are some, I guess this is some decimal issues here, wrong unit most likely, as it points out here. And keeps going like this. The next product, the wrong casing on the brand, I guess, and again unit issues. The description very tears. Maybe it would be good to have a bit of a longer description based on what it's seen from the benchmark, and so on. We can keep going here and kind of looking through this. It's a bit, I don't know, hard to you just get a wall of text, right? So could be more visual, but this is the life in the AI chat, isn't it? Oh, it's not done. It's ranking it as well. So from the best data quality down to the worst. In terms of workflow here, I think I would like to see this kind of one by one so I can make decisions here instead. So I would say something like, present me the findings one by one. Wait for my projection approval before moving to next. Note my decision. Well, let's try that. Okay, it's giving me for the whole product. Here you could also be a bit more clear. Actually, what I wanted was first this change, right? Do I want this or not? Then this one, then this one. We could do that, but it's going to take long here. So here at least it has given them a number. So we could say, for example, keep 1A and 1G, something like that. I'm just going to say approve all. So yeah, then it will go on with the number 2 here. We can see if we like these fixes. This is the human in the loop. We are demoted to some kind of approval machine here. Approve. It logs that. Okay. Good. Let's just try to reject this one. Probably good changes, but just feel like rejecting those ones now. Okay, I like to log your decision precisely. Could you clarify which of the following you mean? Reject all for this product. Mhm. Okay, let's just do this now. I say approve all changes for all remaining products. In a real case here, you would probably step through all of them one by one, the actual suggestion, not just each product one by one. But here now it has logged all of this and here rejected number 3. Okay. And now, now I want this data back in, right? In whatever system they came from. If this came already from the supplier, maybe this, what I export now will be what I actually use to import the data. So just say, now generate, this depends on what format you want, with all products, and with the approved changes. Maybe we have to say for rejected changes. No, include initial value, I would say. Okay. But yeah, this kind of stuff, right? If, let's say, we would have just maybe done a manual check of the sheet, it's easy to miss things or cross-check manually, like maybe we would have done back in the old days, 2 years ago or something like that. Yeah, tough, right? You probably miss a few things and you import the data and now you have kind of incorrect or contradictory data in the system, and that is what's going to hurt then your performance in things. So doing something like this should help. But again, very manual. It seems to take a lot of time to put this together here. Yeah, okay, here we go. It's also, is it getting everything right here? Do we need to audit the audited version? I don't know. Most likely it would be fine, but and this is quite a small data set, right? We have 10 products to benchmark against, and we had 9 new products. And usually when we do this, it would be thousands of products. How it's going to perform? Probably not that well. So that also, it kind of falls apart at that point as well to use just a chat like this. I guess in this case we'll just trust it, but again, you would probably have to do some auditing of this one as well. Hello guys, just coming back to this one. A day later, you get a different background today. To do this in the chat, it's not efficient. It's also not foolproof in the sense that it can miss things. So instead of doing this in a chat like we did, why not do it inside of our product information tool, right? So in the PIM, for example. And of course, Bluestone PIM has a lot of tools built in for this reason. Like as a user, you don't want to extract data from a source system or e-com system, paste it into a chat. But that's what we see these days. A lot of people are doing, extracting data, analyzing back in. So with the PIM, obviously, you have to have a way to do this built into the solution. And in Bluestone, we of course support that. We are agnostic, so you can choose the model you want to use to analyze your data. And then let's have a look at how that works, and then compared to doing it in the chat, it is of course much, much easier. So this is how the data will look in the PIM. So we have HVAC data, the same data that we also have in those Excels that we used in Claude Chat. It's categorized here. Yeah, these are the products stored in the PIM. And here is also where we can then apply AI to the products within the PIM. So when we mark products, we have the AI selection here, and we can analyze them, we can enrich them, we can translate them with the linguist, and so on. And in this case, we're going to look at the analyst and how the analyst can do exactly what we did in the chat, but in a more convenient way. So let's jump into a report from the AI analyst. Here we're seeing the system monitor in Bluestone PIM, and I filtered for all my AI analysis here. And you can see we've been running quite a few of them and in different languages. And we can always go in and have a look at the reports here. So here we have a report for HVAC data, which is the same products and the same benchmark data as we did in in Claude. The difference here is that that benchmark data is already in the PIM. So that is our well-enriched data. And then we receive those 10 new products from the supplier. We ingest them into a kind of temporary part of the PIM where we want to benchmark them and analyze them and improve on them before we introduce them to our catalog. And when we then see the report, it's similar to what we had in Claude Chat, but it's in the PIM already. And we get the same kind of suggestions here. There are decimal errors, same as we saw in the chat. Instead of having to export this and then push it into source system with updates or into the PIM, we can just choose that, well, this sounds relevant, this fix, I want to do it. We can see the reasoning from the model here. Similar HVAC units are in this range. 138,000 kilograms is several orders of magnitude larger than clearly, and it's clearly unrealistic. 138 kilo makes more sense. So this is common sense. It's the same logic that, the model would apply outside of Bluestone as well. But we have it all in one place and we can implement the fix right away here. You see the reliability here, 7 out of 10. So it's not completely sure that this is the correct fix. But we are the human in the loop here as well, right? And we can decide if we want to approve this or not. So compare this to the more chat experience where I have to kind of tell it that, well, reject A1, keep A2. This is a more clear overview. And I can also come back at any time later and then continue my work on approving changes. Here it's more sure, 9 out of 10, that this millimeter should not be in a text field, right? So you can see that the AI also gets some help here by validation rules that are in the PIM that would not be in place just with those Excel files we used in the chat. All right, and then we can keep stepping through here and see for this thermostat. And it's not very sure here of these fixes, 2 out of 10, so we get that reliability as well. And here this product was good already. Here we have some airflow fix and so on. And once we have chosen the fixes we want to apply, we can just go through with them here and the AI will do it for us. No need to, of course, export anything and import somewhere else. And this is really where we have most of the time saved in this process. So the fixing is in progress and now we can see that it's applied here. And we could also fix for other products here, or we can go ahead from here and just fix for all the different products, right, from outside. There's also automations connected to this, right? So we can choose how much of a human in the loop we want to have, how automated it should be, autonomous, and so on.